Howdy, this is the Views from the Schott podcast. I'm your host, your one and only host, Tim Miller, and today it is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, and I wish you a very, very, very happy National Carbonated Beverage with Caffeine Day. Today's show is presented exclusively by CBB Analytics. You go to cbbanalytics.com right now, sign up for a free account or sign up for a paid account. Use the code SCHOTT, that's SCHOTT, SCHOTT, to get an entire month free off a paid subscription. Spoiler alert, we have our first banger bet of the season on today's show, and part of that banger bet is backed by CBB Analytics. They're not endorsing it. We're using that database as part of our model of sorts. I came up with an abbreviation of BIP, which I liked. I don't remember what BIP stands for, though, and that's a problem. We'll figure it out at some point, but we have a banger bet coming today, courtesy, kind of CBB Analytics. Today's show, I admit I lied to you. I have fibbed, and it's time for me to own up to that mistake. I said coming into the season, we're just going to do one preview show at the beginning of the week. We'll preview Ohio State's two opponents for that upcoming week. I was wrong. I lied. Today's show, we're just previewing Evansville, which means that tomorrow night we will review Ohio State's game with Evansville. Probably Thursday, we will do a Campbell against Ohio State preview. And of course, we'll review that Ohio State and Campbell game on Friday. So today's show just covers Evansville. So before we get into that, I have to do what I always do, and I have to ask you of a favor. However, I want to commend you, first of all. If you're here and you've done any of these things, thank you. You all are doing great. The numbers are... They're on a chart, but they're in that top right region of the chart kind of by themselves right now compared to, I don't know, other numbers that could be on a chart. Lots of new subscribers on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please do like the video. Please subscribe to the Views from the Schott podcast on YouTube, and even you can leave a comment as well. That helps a bunch. Give me your thoughts. What are your predictions? What's your expectation for Ohio State against Evansville? And if you're on podcasts, subscribe there as well. Numbers are great there. Please subscribe, leave a 5-star review if you feel so inclined, and then of course follow on the socials, on Twitter or X, on Instagram and on Facebook as well. You're crushing it. If you're not there, you're kind of missing out. Just make sure you're following and doing all the things that I have requested so humbly that you do. All right. So we've got to cover Ohio State against Evansville. This game tipping off at 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening. That's Eastern time on, drumroll please, yes, Big Ten Plus. That is what we will be using to watch this show. Now, as for me and my household, we will be opening up another account with Big Ten Plus and then probably canceling it after this game because I don't want to pay for that to watch Ohio State play like 2 games in a year. So I won't be there. I'll be streaming along, and well, you're just going to have to sign up for an account if you don't have one already. Cancel it. I think you have access for a month. Even if you cancel it the day after, I would assume Ohio State will be on the Big Ten Plus network, streaming platform, whatever that is, at another point this season. So just be advised. That game's going to be played at the Schott. Ohio State, as of recording, a 25-point favorite. So very, very heavily favored are the Buckeyes in this one to take on Evansville. So let's take in Evansville as a team. Then we'll take them in offensively. We'll take them in defensively too. We're going to take them in. And then we're going to talk about how could an upset happen? How could Evansville keep this close? And then from there, like I said, we've got our first banger bet of the season. It is qualified. I've placed money on this game. The first time I placed money on Ohio State game this year. And you know what? That dirty little sports book that I placed a bet on limited me on this bet. How could they do that to us? And after banger bets, I'll give you a pick for the game. Spoiler, there's at least a 50% chance I'm going to take Ohio State in this one. Okay, so getting into Evansville, no, I'm not even going to say that sentence. All right, so Evansville, 265 in Ken Palm, 255 in Bart Torvik T rank this season. So you look at those numbers and you say, not a great team, but not a completely awful team either. Stay tuned. Maybe they really are just that awful. 1-3 this year. They lost to North Texas to start the season. They beat what I assume is somewhere between like a D2 and an NAIA school, a name I don't remember, and I saw it a half hour ago, and I don't care to even try to pronounce because it looked upon first glance as if I would have to think about how to pronounce it, and because of that, I'm just not going to say it. Then they lost to Middle Tennessee State University and Radford. So a crushing defeat of a D2, D3 community college, who knows, maybe an online campus, maybe a JV high school team. It doesn't matter. They still put up over 90 points in that win. In the 3 games against actual Division I opponents, they have not won. And not only have they not won, they've given up 80 points or more in all 3 of those games. A history lesson on Evansville. If you don't hear from them much, there's a reason why. I'm going to set an over-under. Over the past 6 years, how many wins do you think Evansville averages? I'm going to set the over-under at 14 and a half. If you took the over, you would be wrong. If you took the under, you would be comfortably safe. Let's move that down to 11 and a half. You taking the over or the under? You could take the under, you'd still be right. And you'd still have more room. What if we set it at 9.5? You taking the over yet? Well, this bet would push. They're averaging exactly 9.5 wins per season over the past 6 years, and they had single-digit wins as low as I think at least 6, maybe 5, probably not 4, as low as 6 wins at worst in a season over the past 6 years. In 4 of the past 6 years, they have had single-digit wins. So this Evansville program nickname, I actually have it right now, courtesy of CBB Analytics. They are the Purple Aces. What the heck is that? Not a lot of great history here for Evansville over the past few years. They had 3 different coaches during the COVID year as well. That's a fun fact of trivia for you. I don't particularly care enough to figure out why they had 3 coaches. Probably had something to do with COVID. Who knows? But they had 3 different head coaches during that season. So Evansville struggling this year, already at 1-3. They have not been a good basketball program for the better half of a decade now. So what do we expect from Evansville coming in to take on Ohio State? Well, offensively, they've got a 104.9 offensive rating, on 102.8 adjusted offensive efficiency, and they're averaging exactly 69.0 points per game. None of those numbers are all that encouraging. And as you look up and down their numbers, their analytics, courtesy of CBB Analytics, you kind of get past the point of diving into how good is this team, and your mind starts to drift. It starts to wonder, how is Evansville going to spend the money that Jake Diebler paid to get them up to Columbus for a game this season? Now, here's one note, one bonus. This is why you should listen to this podcast. I spoke to an assistant coach at a low major, mid major. I don't know how, probably low major is how you define them. You define the same with Evansville. A coach at a men's basketball program who said, hey, we wanted to schedule Ohio State this year. I know the staff very well. And they said no. They said they wanted this schedule to be super tough. And, well, this program just wasn't good enough for Ohio State to be on the schedule, essentially. Evansville, apparently good enough, but not by much. You're wondering, how are they going to spend this money? And you would recommend the buy money that they are getting from Ohio State, just spend it like completely differently. complete opposite direction of how you have spent it over the past few years, because clearly how you are spending your money is not working right now. I feel bad. I mean, we're 10 minutes into the show and I'm just ruthlessly roasting Evansville. I'm sorry. Sometimes that's how the show has to be. What am I going to sit here and puff up these bad numbers? For what? For who? Is an Evansville parent listening to this show? If so, they'll never listen again because they don't care about Ohio State basketball and because I'm probably roasting their son. Sorry. That's how this works. Here's the good with the Evansville offense. Okay. I'll be fair and I will give some good with their offense. They are really good at shooting inside the 3-point line. Now, based on how that sentence started, based on how my tone probably sounded to you, you thought that was going to be sarcastic, didn't you? No. They're actually good at shooting inside the 3-point line, which is a valued trait. Is it the most valued trait in basketball? No, but it counts. They're 56.2% from inside the 3-point line this year. That's solid. Cameron Hafner, 8 of 8. Shout out Cameron Hafner. Gabriel Pazzato, maybe that's how it's pronounced, 11 of 15 from inside the 3-point line. And 4 of the 6 main shooters, I would call them main shooters. They only have 7 players who play on the roster, really, in any significant minutes. 4 of those 6 main players are 56% or better from inside the 3-point line. So that's good. But there's a problem with this number. And the problem comes with the next point that I will now talk about now. They fire threes like it's 10 minutes before a high school basketball practice. I don't know if you played high school basketball. I personally, not to brag, I did play high school basketball. And you get warmed up, the school day's over, you've changed into your practice jersey, which smells like it's hiding some sort of secrets within it. And you're getting ready to go. You just want to goof off with your friends, right? So you're just shooting threes from the half court line. You're waiting for your coach to walk in. You don't want him to see you taking those shots, but you're going to take them until he gets there. That's what it feels like with Evansville. They shoot threes as if there is no tomorrow. Do the Purple Aces. We now learned their nickname. 54.9% 3-point attempt rate is 98th percentile in college basketball. So you think to yourself, okay, Evansville, so you're a really, really good 2-point shooting team. That would mean that you probably like to focus your shots there. You'd like to, maybe you're not even like a super high above average team when it comes to shooting inside the 3-point line, but you make it a priority, right? No. 98th percentile? So are they good at shooting the 3 ball? That's your next question. Answer. No, not really. 50th percentile exactly. Just average as average gets, 32.6 from deep this year. There's a hair somewhere, apparently not on my glasses. I just got it. That was bothering the living daylights out of me. So Evansville, very good at shooting inside the 3-point line. However, they don't shoot from there. So what the heck is the point of that? I don't know. There's just nothing impressive about this offense either. Offensive rebounding rate, turnover rate, paint points, second chance points. Wherever you look, they're all below 40th percentile. So you're good at shooting inside the 3-point line. You can't shoot threes very well. You can't offensive rebound, so you're not creating extra possessions for yourself. You don't protect the basketball, so you're giving possessions away, and you're really not scoring in the paint much. So you've got okay shooting metrics. That's fine. Outside of that, you're just bad. However, there are players to watch for Evansville. I've mentioned a few already. Gabriel Pazzato. Is that how it's pronounced? We'll find out on Tuesday evening. He's a 6'7 freshman, averaging 22.6 points per 40 minutes. That's a really, really good number, but his 19.7 points per game is actually better in the grand scheme of things, according to CBB Analytics, and his usage rate is off the charts too. So you got a 6'7 freshman. He's coming in here. He's playing really, really well for Evansville, and next year he'll probably be playing for think of a team. Come on, don't be an idiot. Where is Evansville? Is that in Illinois or am I crazy? Let's figure out. Evansville Purple Aces. Does this make me come off as unprepared? It's possible. So we know where they're in the Missouri Valley. If I go to their website here, am I going to find anything? Like, is there going to be an address? Copyright of Evansville, and you keep taking away what I want to see. Evansville, Indiana. So they're in Indiana. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So this is a good player. He's a freshman, and next year he can go play for Indiana State or something like that, I assume. Really, really good numbers as a freshman. Watch out for him. Watch out for Cameron Hafner. Already mentioned him too. 15 points per game. Those are your two primary scorers. He's 45% from deep as well. Really, really good three-point shooter and a 76.8% true shooting percentage. Obviously, those good numbers from the three-point line inflates that number, but regardless, really, really efficient as a scorer. However, both players struggle with turnovers, as do most players on this team. And Tanner Cuff, another player, he's crafty. He's crafty in the paint. I will say that. He takes care of the basketball and he can grab some offensive rebounds. But you need Pizzato, you need Hafner, you need guys like Joshua Hughes, Connor Turnbull, and Kaya Barrage. You need players like that to hit triples because all of those guys that I mentioned are the ones who contribute the most amount of three-point shots. This team shoots them like crazy. If these guys are going to shoot them like crazy, you're going to have to make those shots. We'll see if they can do it. Now, defensively, if you thought the offense was bad, take a seat or leave. It doesn't matter. The defense is really, really bad. 127.7 defensive rating. I can't even imagine. I can't begin to describe how bad that is. Where does that rank in college basketball actually this year? This is why we keep the CBB analytics tab open while we record, so we can find something like this. Whoops, that's fourth percentile in college basketball. For those scoring at home, that means it's not good. 110.9 adjusted defensive efficiency, not good, and they're allowing 84 points per game this season. That is with one non-D1 team on their schedule. Let's continue. And just be prepared, okay? I'm going to list off a bunch of numbers here, and that's the defensive preview. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to take seriously a team like Evansville. If you watch highlights of them, you can see on YouTube some highlights of them playing North Texas. It's brutal, man. It is brutal. 52.6% from the field, our opponents this year against Evansville. That's third percentile in college basketball. 61.1% from inside the three-point line. That's ninth percentile. And 36.2% from behind the three-point line. 25th percentile. That's pretty good, right? Compared to everything else, pretty good. Overall, teams are shooting very well against Evansville. Then you go into some different numbers. 57.8 defensive rebounding rate. That's third percentile in college basketball. 40.7 points per 40 minutes. That would also be per game. I don't know why I put per 40. That would be 10th percentile in college basketball. And they're 22nd percentile in second chance points allowed per game at 13.3 second chance points per game. Their turnover rate, 14.9%. That's pretty good. That's 42nd percentile in college basketball. You're not quite average, but you're getting close, Evansville. Just keep on growing. They can't force poor shots. They can't limit made shots in the paint. They can't gain extra possessions because they don't turn you over all that much. They can't rebound, so they can't even keep their own possessions to themselves. And I don't know. Where are the stops from this defense that has, again, allowed, what's the number? Is it 84 points per game? Where's that number? Someone find me the number. It's 84 points per game that you're allowing. Again, your best competition has been North Texas, who is probably outside the top 75 in Ken Pom and Bart Torvik. A fine team, but not Ohio State. So how could Evansville keep this close? I don't know. I just don't know. Here's the one thing with Ohio State. So Ohio State is not properly healthy right now. I need to pull my phone out of my pocket to see if I've gotten any news on that. And I have not. What I do know is this: Quez Glover and Austin Parks did not practice on Monday. So Ohio State is going to be more thin. They don't expect either of those players to get action. So you have that. Ohio State is a little bit more thin. So that could keep Evansville in this game, potentially, because maybe you're going to ask for minutes out of Colin White. Do I believe that Colin White will score his first points in this game? Yes, I do. I think that there are going to be some bench players on Ohio State who get the chance to score. Colby Ballman, he might hit a three. Who knows? We're getting ahead of ourselves here, though. But that could be one thing. The way that Evansville shoots these threes, it's wild. If they happen to be scorching hot on a night like this, that could keep them close too. I don't know. I can't spend that much mental energy on wondering how Evansville can keep it close because I don't particularly believe that it's going to happen. And that leads us to banger bets and then a pick in this game. So I told you, I promised you, we have the first banger bet of the year. Was it the betting intelligence platform? We're going to call it that. We're going to call it the betting intelligence platform, the BIP. Okay. Little bit of AI sprinkled in with some analytical numbers, formula we put together. And just so you know, the number that we came out with for the Ohio State Texas A&M game for the total, we projected this before any numbers came out. You can listen to the episode. This is proven. This is real. We projected the number at 147.5. Guess what that number was? It was 147.5. We have not placed any money on banger bets this year. We feel good about one in this one. So the spread right now, current number that you're seeing is going to be 25 to 25 and a half. Our BIP places this at Ohio State minus 24. That is the number that we would project in this one. I think Ohio State is going to come very, very close to covering this number. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points, especially with a roster that is thin without Quest Glover, who actually looked pretty good in the last game against Texas A&M. Ohio State looking for redemption, of course. And you don't have Austin Parks. Is that going to be a huge deal? Not having Kalen Etzler, is that going to be a huge deal? Probably not, especially against a team that doesn't have the best size in the world. But this is going to be close to Ohio State covering. This is not the banger bet. I think Ohio State should win this game comfortably. It should be by more than 20 points. Then we find the total. So the total as of recording was set at 147.5 points. We project the total, the BIP projects the total at 151 points. That's about a 3.5 point advantage. And so there's that. I'll leave it there for now. Then we have the Ohio State team total. That is set at 86.5. There's no number for an Evansville team total that I found. And remember, Evansville is allowing 84 points per game so far this year. The most amount of points that they have given up in a game, I believe, was North Texas, but let me be sure of that really, really quickly. Thanks to CBB Analytics, we find this in no time at all. So against North Texas, they gave up 80. They actually gave up 92 against Radford and 80 against Middle Tennessee State. So in these games, well, that number has hit only 2 out of 3 times against Division I opponents. But I'm not here to tell you that Radford and Ohio State are similar teams. So that's a number to keep an eye on. Our BIP has this at about 83-ish points for Ohio State. They would actually project Ohio State to go a little bit under in this game. So I feel confident. My heart tells me take Ohio State over 86 and a half. Based on what the last number was against Radford, based on the 3 games against Division I opponents this year, Ohio State is going to be a huge step up for Evansville. So I think Ohio State can cover that number. But we here on the BIP, we don't bet with our gut. We bet with our BIP, actually. We are going to take the over 147 and a half. I have placed money on this already, just 1 unit. That's all we do. Don't bet more than you can lose. Don't get upset at me if it doesn't hit. But our number 1 banger bet of the year is we're going to take the over 147 and a half. You can find that at minus 110 on Fanatics. That's the best price I found. And of course, they limited me. So thanks for that. But That's our first banger bet of the year. I'm going to take the over on this one. I think Ohio State's going to be able to hit the over. I think Evansville defensively is very bad. I think the Buckeyes are going to get a chance to run up and down the floor. And even though Evansville is a slower paced team, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think Ohio State needs that many possessions with the talent advantage that they have. So, in terms of a pick for this game, obviously I believe that Ohio State's going to win this game. This is a very thin team, is Evansville. No one outside of their starters plays more than 15 minutes per game. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your starting five getting that many minutes? And then, like, on Ohio State, you're seeing a player like Evan Mahaffey and Devin Royal and Quez Glover and any other bench player you can name at this point, John Mobley Jr., all of those guys are getting less than 15 minutes per game. That's a crazy number. There's just not a lot of subbing on this team. I don't know if it's because Evansville isn't that deep or if it's because that is just the philosophy. We're going to play our starters the most, but it's a very thin team. So out of this combination, by the way, per CBB Analytics, it is also the worst combination on the team. Minus 49.7 rating, that's 9th percentile, and their plus minus with those five on the floor is zeroth percentile in college basketball this season. So that said, if you're going to play those five that much and they're going to be that bad, makes it hard to believe that Evansville can keep this close. Rebounding, I don't think that's really going to be fixed overnight. They have two players who are 6'10". One of those is a starter. One is the two players off the bench who actually play. They've got 2 6'7" players, then a couple guys who are probably 6 foot, maybe a couple inches shorter, but listed a couple inches taller because, well, that's what you do in college sports is you inflate numbers. This feels like the Merrimack game last year. Very early on in the season, did Ohio State play Merrimack? If you watched Merrimack before that game, you saw it wasn't a good team. The analytics backed it up that it wasn't a good team. Ohio State won that game 72-56, and they covered a 23.5 point spread. Ohio State 25.5 point favorite in this one. I'm not taking the spread as a bet, but I am taking Ohio State to cover this game as my prediction. I'm picking Ohio State to win this game 91-68. That would easily cash the over, which I expect to happen in this one. It would also easily cash Ohio State's team total over. That doesn't qualify as a banger bet. My heart says I want to put money on it. We don't bet with our heart here on this show. So I've got the Buckeyes winning this game 91-86. And somehow we previewed Ohio State against Evansville in almost a half hour. Find someone else who will do that. Bring them to me. Find them and bring them to me, and you'll get a reward. But you're not going to get an in-depth preview like that anywhere else. And that's why the Views from the Schott podcast is here. So again, if you made it through the entire episode, if you haven't given a 5-star review yet, I would appreciate that on whatever podcast platform you're on. Make sure you're looking us up on YouTube as well, liking and subscribing and all those different types of things. We will be back on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. We'll see what the schedule permits on this one. I think that we'll be able to make it Tuesday night because the game is at 6 o'clock. We will review this game, and then we got 2 more shows coming up this week where we will preview Campbell. That'll be on Thursday, and then we'll review the Ohio State Campbell game. My first game of the year, where I will be at the Schott. I will be watching live, up close and personal, Ohio State against Campbell on Friday evening. So that's that. Let's enjoy an Ohio State game against Evansville. It should be an easy win. Is it okay for me to overlook this game and this team? Yes, because I'm not a member of the Ohio State University men's basketball team. Thank the Lord that I am not, because that's not where I would be qualified to be. However, I feel I'm qualified enough to be quiet at this point, as I feel I have given a sufficient enough preview of Ohio State versus Evansville. We'll look forward to that game tipping off tonight, and I appreciate you listening more than you could ever understand. I'm going to shut up before you shut me off. Go Bucks.